All right, family. We live once again with the general. You already know what it is. We got that fire commentary on international, national, local, regional news, politics, uh, breaking news, top stories, history, culture, black culture. We in the house, family. Uh, Before we get started, get over there to Patreon. All you had to do is click that link at the top of the chat. We got over 600 exclusive live streams. I want you to get over there and get that amazing work. We got 6 new videos that just was uploaded this week, and I want you to get that work, family. Click the link. China issues sharp warning. U.S., Japan, and Philippines joint drills, war games going on in the Indo-Pacific. You see, they making preparation in case China wanna try to do some wanna try to get they might want some work. They might want to get some work and they're getting prepared. They training United States over there training the Philippines for and they by 'em being in World War II and fighting over there. They ain't just motherfucking over there. People think the United States, they ain't just over there. They didn't fought major motherfucking battles over there. I'm talking about some major fucking battles, all through there. So they ain't just over there. They know what time it is. They didn't fought over there in Vietnam, Korea, Japan. I don't think they went to. They just dropped them bombs on their ass, but so they didn't fought all through there. So they know the terrain and they know how to what, and plus the Philippines do too. So they in sharing information, technology, and China just ain't liking that. And I think China might have pulled some a warship. They don't want to start no shit, but they're gonna put their presence out there. They're gonna protest, which is understandable. And, it's understandable that they would protest. Now, let me put some maps up there for you. We were just talking about this. How the United States got these bases over there in the Philippines. You know what I'm saying? They over there, and I don't know how new this is because this they might have more than that right now. Let me get in here. I'm trying to get it on my big screen. Hold up, family. Okay, we're in the house. Yeah, so and as you can see you can see the proximity to Taiwan. You feel what I'm saying? And that just letting you know that they want to hold some weight in that particular area, that and I don't know if that's a between Taiwan and the Philippines, if what that the waterway is called. But anyway, I'm quite sure they would want to have a presence right there. You know what I'm saying? Bases, and things of that naval bases, air bases and all of that. But even seeing how Iran, was bombing air bases, but that go on both sides. That go on both sides that could be attacked. But you understand that, man, that's gonna be wild. Cause you're gonna have missiles probably coming from all damn directions. Now, my understanding that they probably will not, that it will more. They say it more likely that it'll be a naval war, or and I'm quite sure the plane's but it's gonna be fought on the water. That's what they saying because if they attack China, then more than like the mainland that it more likely is gonna turn into a nuclear war. You know what I'm saying? But so it more than likely is gonna be fought on the water. So it's gonna be on who got the most proficient navy, who got and in combination with the Air Force, with the Air Force. So that's more than likely what, how that war gonna be fought. But you can see Yeah, they got that motherfucker on lock, Ray. They got it on lock, man. I ain't gonna lie. But they still got to strap them up over there. They ain't all the way strapped, but they been strapping them. You know, they been strapping them, you know, and they gon' that's why Donald Trump trying to get all that bread, man, cuz that's what they trying to do over there. They trying to strap up and get that get them the missiles and the defense system and shit. And like I say, this is just strictly military. That's why they trying to get that goddamn golden dome, cause they trying to have all that shit. And more than likely, when you got all that type of shit, they ain't gonna even motherfucker try nothing, man. Cause it's gonna be, I mean, you gotta knock a lot of shit out to even, even thinking about winning. You know what I'm saying? You gotta knock a lot of shit. You gotta knock the dome out. Then you got all these motherfucking islands strapped up, Philippines. Now, if you look over there, and I'm gonna bring up this other map. Now, to the left, if you see the dotted area down in the left bottom, you'll see where it says Spratly Islands. That's China. China put some man-made islands over there. You know what I'm saying? Now, how dare them? Now they know that shit gonna get bombed when it go down. They gonna sink that shit. You know what I'm saying? That shit going in the water. That's gonna be like Atlantis. You know what I'm saying? That shit going down. But China put them Spratly Islands over there. All of that is man-made. That's man-made. Matter of fact, let me see if I got that other map over there. I can get you right here. Let me get that one up there for you. Okay, let me take that one out. Okay, there you go. Popped up. That's not the one. Why is it showing that one? Okay, there you go. Okay, there you go, right there. So you can see down there, them the Spratly Islands that China then built up. How dare them come way down there? But I mean, that's a boss move. That's a boss move. I ain't mad at them. You know what I'm saying? That's a boss move. I ain't mad at them. They got to try to do something, but they gonna sink that shit. They gonna put it in the water. You know what I'm saying? You gonna hear them motherfuckers over there. Mayday, Mayday. They gonna go down now. They gonna put them. All you gonna see, they gonna send a flock of them B-50, them B2s and them B-52s over that motherfucker, and you ain't gonna see them no more. One Moab for each one of the two for sure. And them motherfuckers, it'll be a wrap. But that just show you. But that don't, and they strapped up on them motherfuckers too. They got a couple of, but they ain't gonna last long. They ain't like you can, you know, they ain't gonna last long. But I want to get a visual. I'm gonna get a visual because they might be big. Look, they might be a little bigger than what people think. They might be, but you can see the bases. You got the air bases over there in the Philippines, and I'm quite sure they're gonna have some naval bases over there too. I'm quite sure. You got to have because that's really where the fight gonna come from. It's gonna come from the Navy, and the Air Force. But yeah, so they over there right now, and they're doing joint drills with Japan, Philippines. Now, my understanding, I don't know if that must have been last year that the Australians, because China done been all the way down there near Australia, and kind of bullying their ass, letting them know, you know what I'm saying? So, because the United States and Australia got they also got a military pack, and they building submarines, nuclear. I don't know if I believe they nuclear subs for Australia, but Australia didn't show up over there in the Strait of Hormuz, so I don't know how shit. I don't know. They might put their shit on pause, you know what I'm saying? Because they didn't show their ass up over there like they were supposed to. But so if China go down there and punk your ass, don't call nobody. When it's time for you to show your punk ass up, you got to get to where you need to be. And you're supposed to be because it's a victory. They're gonna we're gonna talk about what's going on over in Iran in the last couple videos. It's happening like it's supposed to happen. Them people's over there is in a fucked up predicament, and it ain't gonna go on too much longer like that. It can't go on too much longer like that. The internal devastation of that you ain't even got to drop a bomb on it and I understand what he said when he said that the blockade might be worse than the bombing. And in real talk, it is. Yeah, because you could if you still getting money, that's one thing. But when you ain't getting no motherfucking money, shit, that's all bad. But anyway, yeah, this is the military setup, and I didn't took this is just for Indonesia. Let me see if I can get this other one over here. Yeah, let me see if I can get this other one over here because it really showed, how close the Philippines is to Taiwan. So that's very significant. Because China might want to go on the warpath. It might take Taiwan, then it might want to creep on down to the Philippines. And people's is nervous about that because they feeling like, yeah, you want to take people's shit. Now I understand people say, Taiwan was a part of China, but from my understanding, it's something to that. That I know that during it was like a civil war, and one of the factions fled to Taiwan. One of the factions. But to my understanding, they saying China never ruled Taiwan. I don't know where they getting this one China. I don't know. I have to get an understanding of what they mean by that mainland China never really ruled the island of Taiwan. And so I'm gonna get off into that to see what the reality of that is. But you can see that, why they are militarizing because, it's with understanding that 25 to 30% of all that global trade, you got Japan, you got damn South Korea, which are very close allies of the United States that, you got your soldiers over there too. You got Guam, you got other areas over there. You got the lock and load over there. You know what I'm saying? You got the lock and load over there. And so my understanding is that they piling a whole lot of ammunition, artillery, military systems, all type of planes and ships over there in a minute. That's why they were saying that China, if they was gonna try to take Taiwan, that really next year is the for a lot of people that study this, they saying next year is really the likely year that China would try to take Taiwan because after that, majority of all those allies of the United States over there, they're gonna be fully strapped, and it wouldn't. There's no way they would be able to take it after 2027 because now that you didn't woke up a giant, and now they're gonna strap up. They're gonna strap up over there, so it ain't gonna be feasible for them to try to take Taiwan after 2027. All right, family. Get with me. Get to Patreon. I'll be black in a minute. The last two videos for the night gonna be what's going on over there in the Strait of Hormuz, the Panama. What I'm talking about, the Panama, the Persian Gulf. You see, and let me see, family out there. What are we talking about? Yeah, black people in the Philippines. Yeah, my uncle took all kind of pictures over there. You see, that's the darker ones, you know what I'm saying? That really was up there on the mainland. A lot of them been ran down. They was in the islands, but a lot of them was ran from off the mainland. You see, they control A lot of, the darker ones control a lot of southern China, all up through there. Yeah, United States, yeah, they've been over there since World War II. Anyway, family, come on, Black. We got some more for the family. Kick it with the general, get the Patreon, and I'll be right, Black. Black Power.